Welcome everybody to this momentous occasion. My name is Dan Borgia. I am the Provost at Nichols College, and I'm here to announce and welcome everybody to this press conference to announce that we have achieved AACSB Accreditation. Before I introduce the rest of our speakers, I would like to begin by recognizing our academic affairs team, including Mauri Pelto, Jean Beaupre, Robin Ferkel, and the team Robuchon. Achieving AACSB accreditation is really a team effort. It requires, help and support from faculty, staff, students, administration, and it takes a long time. It's a very difficult thing to achieve. At this time, I would like to introduce the 8th president of Nichols College, Glenn Sulmasy.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks very much, Provost, for your leadership through this process. And of course, to Dr. Pelto and Dr. Beaupre, thank you so much for what you've done. Truly a great day to be a Bison. Actually, it's a historic day to be a Bison. The third oldest college in the Commonwealth now ranks among the elite in the United States and worldwide, in the top 5% of business schools internationally. This achievement does not happen overnight without incredible efforts, as the Provost mentioned, by many people, some of whom are behind me, but many around the area and those that came before. I'd like to thank first by thanking Susan Engelmeyer, who initiated this, my predecessor, who initiated this back in 2016 and 17, and led it till the time she departed. To the Board of Trustees, who consistently have supported us with resources, time, and advice. Particularly, I want to thank former Chairman John Davis and Vice Chairman Tom Hall for facilitating this process and working with faculty and ensuring they were on board with this momentous occasion and this incredible opportunity for the institution. And of course, I'd like to thank my current boss, the current Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Randy Becker, and the Vice Chair, Carolyn Burke, for their unwavering commitment to embracing greatness and their work with the visiting team, their work on reviewing the self-studies, their work on the selection of our visiting team, and also their support with actions we had to take early on in terms of reorganizing the entire academic structure and organization early in my presence, ensuring this would become a reality today. So thank you for that as well. And truly, I really need to thank Associate Provost and Special Advisor for Accreditation, Pelto, and Dean of the School of Business, Jean Beaupre. They've simply been terrific in execution of this process. Mauri, Dr. Pelto, who's been here since 1989, has been the point person for the past 6 years on this institutional project and delivered a draft self-study in July of 21, meticulous, perfect, and executed flawlessly. And then the full study in the summer of 22, and coordinated all aspects of the faculty hiring, monitoring, and creating the tables of AACSB, supporting scholarship amongst our faculty, etc., etc., etc. He has been the person that has led this effort. We all owe him a debt of gratitude. In fact, I would suggest the institution owes you, my friend, a great deal. Without saying anything further, I'd like to turn the podium over to Dr. Pelto.
So I guess I want to think about, what does AACSB really mean? What is it all about? I mean, I was asking that same question. The board came to me in January of 2016 and said, can you lead us in this effort to attain AACSB? And so what you learn is that AACSB isn't about checking boxes to achieve accreditation. They're there to support you in being excellent in business education in a way that makes sense for your mission. So you don't have to squeeze yourself into their box. They allow you and support you in becoming better at what you're already good at. So what is AACSB? I mean, it is the most recognized globally as the highest level of achievement for business accreditation. And so what it says to any student who's here or any parent of a student, we're striving to be excellent in business education. And when AACSB does that, they say, why does it take so long to achieve the accreditation? Because AACSB requires that you show an ongoing commitment to being excellent in providing learner success, research and thought leadership, that you have an impact on society in a positive way, that you develop your curriculum. And so not only do you have to do those things and prove that you can sustain them, but you also have to show that you're going to be accountable. You're going to hold yourself accountable. AACSB isn't holding you accountable directly. Indirectly they are, but directly you have to hold yourself accountable. And so that's kind of who AACSB is. So if you come here as a student, you know that we are going to continue to strive into the future to give a better business education. So I'd like to talk about just one thread of this journey. If you go back to 2016, I'm sitting in an AACSB conference and I'm thinking, how do they match us? Because it doesn't make sense to go on a big journey like this if there isn't some synergy. And so the synergy I saw was in this little booklet, A Collective Vision for Business Education, that they published that year. And right in that booklet, that day I highlighted a statement, and they said that, going into the future, your business classrooms are going to have to become learning laboratories. They're not just going to be able to be traditional classrooms. And so, wow, that sounded like something we wanted to do. They went on further to say that it's going to become a bit of a revolving door, with alumni coming in to both educate your students and educate themselves on the future business challenges. And I thought, wow, that's what we've been talking about. That's what Bill Piezinski has been talking about, trying to get the alumni more engaged with helping our students and us helping them in their careers. And so that was the synergy, and those were things we were trying to do. And so this was further incentive to accelerate that, expand that process. So what did we do? Here we are 6 years later. What have we developed that we didn't have or that we wouldn't have? It's hard to unwind the clock and figure that out. But let's think of experiential learning. 2016, we checked the box and said, you get an internship done. That's it. So we decided to come up with a triple threat where every business student would get a professional certification embedded in the class, complete a consulting project with some organization, and do an internship. And hence, we'd better prepare them. They'd have more in their toolkit, they'd have more skill development, more different experiences. So each student now, I can say that as a business student, graduating from Nichols College, essentially every student is going to achieve that triple threat. So to achieve that, you have to build some programs. You build them based on the strengths of your faculty and their passions. You can't just make this stuff up. So we have a Bloomberg terminal lab. It's got 16 terminals in it. Every business student has to complete the Bloomberg Market Concept Certification in one of their first courses. So they get a certification, but it's also the springboard for the creation of the Student Management Investment Fund. And that's all kind of led by Professor of Finance Christine Bowden. Of course, we needed the funding too, and that's where the alumni stepped forward and helped with the funding of that. And then we have the Nichols Consulting Group. Len Harmon, Professor of Marketing, Len Sambrowski, Professor of Management, have led that effort, where we have these companies, these organizations come to us, about 40 per year now, and say, can your students help us? And so they coordinate that, and we help these. They're embedded in classes so that it's not just a couple students. It's almost all business students get to experience a consulting project. So that's how we've done that, just time and time again. The Alumni Mentoring Network, SIPA, all these things we've developed. And it's provided a richer experiential learning environments for our students than we would have had otherwise. And that's what I feel like AACSB has made us a better college. Jean Beaupre has been my partner in this effort here, and it was really critical in writing the strategic plan for academic affairs, leading that effort. It's been just so critical to us.
So it really is a pretty big day here on campus. We are now part of a network of the best business schools around the globe. And so they have recognized that we are in alignment with what AAC is all about, which is excellence in teaching, in research, in curriculum, and in learner success. And so we should all be very proud of this accomplishment and of their recognition of our alignment with what their values are. And at the core of all of that, I would say I want to thank a lot of people, but especially our faculty. The programs that Dr. Pelto has mentioned, all of the experiential learning, the certifications, the consulting projects in classes, are all because of our dedicated world-class faculty. We see them every day going that extra mile, bringing in speakers, bringing in projects, challenging their students to be the best that they can be. And so without them, we wouldn't be here today and where the future is going as well. So the faculty are really at the core of this accomplishment. I'd like to point out just a couple of the things that our peer review team noted were strengths of Nichols College. First of all, responsiveness in our academic programs. And again, that takes dedication, it takes a critical examination of what we're offering. They've recognized the depth and breadth of our experiential learning across all of our disciplines. They recognize our culture of assessment and our culture of scholarship. And lastly, they recognize that we have a true atmosphere of supportiveness and collaboration. Business today is unlike it's ever been. Everything is cross-discipline, and so we need our faculty and our students to recognize that business is changing, and so that cross-collaboration is really critical to maintaining that and developing it as we look to the future and how business will be changing. For our students, really this is what it's all about, preparing them to contribute to the world of business and to have an impact, a positive impact on the environment, on their organizations, on their communities. And so students here now will be able to say they are part of an elite accredited group of business schools, and they are at the core of what it's all about. And we saw them interact, of course, with our faculty, but with our peer review team, and really shine, and they are our best spokespeople, I have to say. I did find a stat, the Financial Times 500, which are one of the largest corporations in the world, 95% of them, of their CEOs, graduated from AACSB accredited schools. So we are now part of that. So I want to thank everyone who was involved in getting us to this point. The future is looking bright. We are maintaining that culture of continuous improvement, and looking forward to the future. I'd like to turn it back over now to President Sulmasy. Thank you.
Congratulations again to everybody, and thank you. You get to see the great team we have in place, and we wanted to open up for any questions that anybody might have now as we conclude the press conference. Question is, what does AACSB mean to Nichols College? And that's a great question. Thank you for that. Essentially, what AACSB means for us is that we are at the beginning of an inflection point in the history of Nichols College. What we have embarked on in the last year is to shatter the notion of being the best kept secret in New England. And that AACSB elite designation as one of the top business schools, top 5% in the world, is the beginning of shattering that notion. So we're at a historic point in our history. AACSB Accreditation is a catalyst for the Embracing Greatness campaign we're on at Nichols College. So it's a huge moment for us and a great opportunity to celebrate scholarship. I will tell you, adding on to Dean Beaupre's great comments about the visiting team, not only they talk about experiential learning, the 3 deans in the visiting team, 3 deans from very prestigious schools, said they would kill to have the experiential learning programs that we have at Nichols College. That is really the differentiator at Nichols. We don't just teach theory, we apply it and give students a chance to do that so when they graduate, they're career ready. So that's a long-winded response to a great question. Thank you. Again, another good question. Thank you. How does this affect Nichols College? How does the designation affect Nichols College? Thank you. How it affects it, I would say, is a couple of ways. One is a huge opportunity for us to increase our faculty and an attraction to our faculty. You just heard Dean Beaupre quote, 57% of CEOs are from AACSB accredited schools. International students are very, very interested in attending AACSB schools. The dean of our graduate school will remind me consistently that graduate schools benefit from having AACSB accreditation. And the list can go on and on and on. It's a differentiator for us. And again, I'd go back to my earlier comment, which is kind of a dovetail off of your great question, is that it really helps us shatter the notion of being the best kept secret. We are no longer that. We're starting to be known regionally more and more and more. And our national prominence is enhanced by this designation. And some would argue our international prominence. So thank you. And thank you for being here today. I'll turn it back to Provost, and we can conclude just by saying thank you all for being here today, and thank you to the Cabinet for their hard work as well. Thank you.
I'd just like to conclude by saying, it's a very proud day for us here at Nichols College. It's a momentous occasion, and it's going to have an impact on the institution for many years to come. So thanks again to President Sulmasy and our academic team and all our faculty, staff, and students. Thanks very much.
Thank you.